Back with Live from the Heartland and our first guests, Ashley Williams and Jenya Polozova. Welcome to Live from the Heartland, gals.
Thank you. Hello, thanks for having us.
It's great to have you. I reached out to you, Ashley, when I first saw an early notice about standing in solidarity with water protectors. We're kind of water freaks around here. And I was just so happy to know that Loyola was setting up to do this. Turns out that's been pushed back a little bit, but in general, you both, each in your own way, which we want to hear about, have been activating around environmental issues, maybe about environmental justice, it sounds like. We've got that great picture of you with the pet Coke and the mask on, which I really appreciate. So yeah, let's get to it. How's it been to be activated about these issues, and how have you been activating? You know, just let's tell the story of what you're up to and through whom.
So I am a senior environmental policy student at Loyola. I have been doing a lot on the environmental front for the past few years now. I really got activated, you could say, when I was about 22 years old.
Way back, eh?
I'm 26 years old now, so it's a bit way back for me.
Yeah, she looks younger than that.
But so I've been activated for quite some time now. I know you probably don't know this about me, but I grew up in a frac sand mining community.
A what kind of mining?
Frac sand mining, yeah. The mining of silica sand for the purpose of hydraulic fracturing. And that's been going on in my community, in my area, since about the 1860s.
Where would that be?
Ottawa, Illinois is about 2 hours, give or take, southwest of here.
Near LaSalle, Peru.
LaSalle, Peru, absolutely.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
Starved Rock.
Starved Rock, yeah, that's my backyard right there. So I've been fighting against the proliferation of frac sand mining operations in my county for the past few years now. I think what a lot of people don't realize of what the purpose is, that it's ultimately going on for fracking to poison other communities across this nation, across this world. And so I think we lose sight that this is not, what it used to be just used for, which was glass and manufacturing purposes.
Yeah. When did they start changing it back then, 4 years ago, or has it been a gradual?
Yeah. So in the past decade or so, with the oil and gas boom, although we are currently in a global oil glut. So you do know, but when it was
Thanks,
big,
Obama.
But when it was big and when it was really booming, that's when we saw the spread of these operations. And so I have been fighting at every turn. There was actually a mine that is permitted on the eastern edge of Starved Rock State Park. I became involved around that time. I started a petition on MoveOn.org, called on then Governor Quinn to intervene to stop this atrocity, this environmental degradation from taking place. And so I did a press conference, and that's what really catapulted me.
Just all on your own, Miss Ashley? You just kind of called the press? How'd you do that?
When I started my petition, I really got a lot of support. Especially out of Chicagoans, everyone really, because they know Starved Rock.
Yeah.
They know that's like the crown jewel.
Precious.
It's one of the crown jewels
Right.
of this great state of Illinois. And so people just, galvanized behind me. And so and especially MoveOn.org. And they got me the connection to get, these press outlets to come out for this conference. And I got to meet with the governor's chief of staff to talk about not only frac sand mining, but as well as hydraulic fracturing in Illinois. Because around that time, the hydraulic fracturing regulatory bill was just signed into law by then Governor Quinn. And so we needed to have these conversations. So I brought my friend, Dr. Lori Chamberlain, to the table to talk about high volume horizontal drilling, as well as me talking about that and on the mining front. So
Laura has been an educator on our show for many, many years.
What is the status of that struggle now?
Frac sand mining or fracking?
Well, both in your county.
So right now, because of the global oil glut, we've really seen a slowdown in operations. One of our notorious polluters, which was Northern White Sand, had to close shop because of this, and so they couldn't keep up. So right now they have a temporary suspension of operations. And the remaining operations, I mean, they're still going. But I want to. Can I announce a victory really quick?
Yep.
So just
Please, there's
just,
so few.
We'll
Let's
take all the victories we
we'll
can
take
get.
any whole victory.
just a few days ago, we had an announcement, a really good one, that the appellate court, the 3rd District Appellate Court, had reversed an earlier dismissal of this lawsuit against the construction of a frac sand mine known as Aramoni. So we're going back to court. It's no longer dismissed because of this reversal from the earlier the circuit court. And so we're going to keep at it. And this is a mine that I had been up. I mean, it was about 30 hours of testimony. I remember I was all hours of the night, staying up to try to just spread awareness about what was to come. And this is a mine that's permitted in Utica.
Well, you talked about becoming activated, and I just wanted one last question to you is, give us a little more detail about what led you to this, to become an activist, where you took this on initially in a large measure on your own and involved other people. What were those little steps? We asked that because we are all encouraging people to become activists, and sometimes hearing other stories is a good way to start.
Yeah, so I don't know, I think it was just stepping up and just opening my mind, opening my heart. I remember picking up the newspaper one day and saw this headline about the Mississippi sand mine by Starved Rock State Park that I was just referring to, and I saw fracking and sand and the park, and I just freaked out because that was my childhood playground. That means the world to me, Starved Rock State Park, and so to see that was going to be endangered for the profit motive to continue this reign of fossil fuel sovereignty, I was really pissed, and I wanted to do something about it. And so I don't come from an activist background. I don't come from necessarily a family of activists, but I just saw that, and because I already had that relationship with the park, that very near and dear relationship.
That's good.
Yeah.
Jenya, let's get you involved in this conversation. We've got Jenya Polozova, who is a partner in organizing with you, Ashley. Jenya, welcome to Live from the Heartland. Where do you come from, and what is your main activist activity right now?
Sure. So, like Ashley, I'm a student at Loyola University. I'm studying environmental science and information systems. I'm a bit more new to this than Ashley. I'm 22. I got activated, I guess, as you'd say, with Food and Water Watch when I was a sophomore at Loyola University. I had never done any sort of environmental advocacy work before then, but through Food and Water Watch, I was able to continue working on issues like opposing fracking, opposing factory farming, advocating for public water infrastructure and funding those public water infrastructure, being against the privatization of our water systems. Also, I started getting involved with urban agriculture at Loyola University, and I'm part of an organization at Loyola, student-run, called Growers Guild, and we advocate for food justice and urban agriculture and sustainable agriculture. And so through Food and Water Watch, I've become a lot more involved in these issues. I met Ashley, and we started talking a lot about what was happening with the Dakota Access Pipeline, and we had this idea to unite together and work on this project to promote this issue on Loyola's campus, and an injustice issue on Loyola's campus, because it wasn't really being talked about to the extent that we thought it should be.
That's quite a list.
I'd like you to talk a little bit about what's been going on at Loyola the last couple of days, but I want to contextualize it this way. About 46 years ago is when Hunger Week started, coming off of Kent State demonstrations at Loyola, a tradition that I understand continues to this day. I don't know what time of year it happens, but it's a phenomenally robust, has adapted over the years, education effort where, at least back then, a group of students would actually go on a fast and educate the rest of the campus about various food issues that were current at the moment. So what's going on campus these days? That you would have this
the thing that the conference you guys just...
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we just had our 4th annual climate change conference at Loyola University. So they do this every year. Last year we had Naomi Klein come and speak about This Changes Everything, and this year we had a keynote address from Mary Robinson, which is former First Lady of Ireland.
My shero.
Very first woman. She's also special envoy to Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Among her many feats, so she spoke and she was our keynote address, and it was really amazing. That was the opening day, and it followed into panels yesterday, and I was a moderator of the environmental justice panel. We also had a No Dapple Flint film, so it was a panel as well as a film showing. The environmental justice one was it's very special in my heart. I had my co-facilitator Olga Batista come and speak about the Petcoke issue, which is another thing. So when I got here to Chicago, so I come from the mining organizing background, but I came to Chicago and I made sure to become extremely involved on what was happening on the southeast side. Olga took me under her wing, and I've been organizing alongside them as Olga's co-facilitator for about the past 2 years now. It was
Terrific.
a great experience, yeah.
So let me just ask, Jenya, were you part of the meeting on Thursday night at Food and Water Watch?
I was not. I had class in midterms.
Okay.
But
You probably do know whatever they're gearing up to do, though.
right. So we're getting ready for the People's March for the Climate.
Yeah.
And it's happening on April 29th downtown. And this action is the culmination of 100 days of resistance against the defunding of environmental programs, the devaluation of environmental funding for environmental issues. So Food and Water Watch, along with many other organizations, we're prepping for the People's March for the Climate.
People's Climate March, PCM.
PCM.
Yeah. Yes, Michael.
You know, I'd be interested from hearing from both of you about the status of activism at Loyola, particularly since the election. It seems like the country is engaged in resisting. I'm wondering if you've seen an increase in concern, people stepping forward, not only at Loyola, but your contacts at other places. I'm of course hoping for something really positive here. What do you got to tell us?
Not to set you up.
I mean, you can let us down easy either way, but are things on the upswing?
So something that is very positive that we saw a month or so after graduation is that, well, inauguration. Prior to this, we saw a lot of silos on our campus with organizations kind of working more individually, but this time around, a bunch of different organizations came together, both environmental justice, immigration organizations, Black Lives Matter. They all kind of connected and had a protest all together. So that was definitely the highlight, that there was a big emphasis on integration.
That's terrific.
Any participation from campus Democrats?
Not that
I'm not sure if
of.
they're still around or active, but
They are active, but I'm not sure that I didn't see them at the protest.
No, they better get their acts together. Sorry. Go ahead, Ashley.
No, I mean, I was just going to agree with that. I think that more than ever, we're seeing people begin to be activated, especially within the environmental community, right? Because I feel like for a while that Jenny and I were kind of the lone voices, I guess, really in terms of activism and trying to get something ignited on campus. And so we're seeing, these environmental clubs step up. We had, what was it called? The recent, the intro to, that we did on campus on the quad. Yeah, which was really great because she talks about intersectionality. So we saw, students for workers' justice, students for Syria, SCA, which is the Student Environmental Alliance, Jenny herself is from Growers Guild, and we saw you at Black Lives Matter. So it was really great. It was something that we don't typically see. Usually these environmental groups on campus don't get a seat at the table.
Did you refer to them as silos, like kind of separate actions,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
Yes.
now you have a whole bundle of
Yeah,
people working
and
together?
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
And you were saying that usually the environmental is left out, or?
Yes. Yeah, I think that they think that we do live in this sort of bubble a lot of the time because we don't have that justice conversation.
Yeah.
We don't acknowledge that intersectionality. So a lot of the time when we're having these sorts of demonstrations, the environmental clubs, the students are not necessarily invited. They're invited to participate always,
So
but
you're
not
changing
not
it,
to
right?
be able to have that leading voice. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. And so I think we're seeing that, and so it's really, really positive.
As Black Lives Matter took off and there were solidarity efforts at Loyola campus,
Yeah.
there was also pushback by the administration over what kind of permits you had to have in order to speak, or who you could invite in the room or not invite.
Yeah.
And of course, this has been an ongoing issue as the right wing has begun to come on campuses more forcefully and has caused hate speech to become acceptable. How have you worked around or through that? If things calm down, does the new administration have a better sense of the importance of First Amendment expression?
And your lady president?
I mean,
Okay, there was
pretty
a
tense there for a while.
there was a silence there. All right, let's go, girls.
Well, one thing I wanted to say is that there was an issue with permits, and we had to initially first get permission to have demonstrations on campus, which was just very inconvenient because you had to decide a certain amount of days in advance when you were going to have your protest and provide details, which we thought was really just really inconvenient. So when that was lifted, Ashley and I and a friend of ours, Vina, we organized a protest against what was happening with the Dakota Access Pipeline. In a couple of days, we had a very last-minute protest. So it's really helped us that the administration has allowed these protests to happen without very advanced notice. So we were able to get this together in a couple of days, get a decent turnout, and then we joined with a protest downtown. So that's been pretty helpful to us.
Did you have something? I just wanted to say this is a positive moment for all of us. I mean, when you say we felt alone, let me tell you, this is a period of time where those of us who have been active all our lives are really happy for the company that has come out of the woodwork, basically, in reaction to the Washington administration, of course. I'm super impressed by you guys. I love what you're doing. The original reason that you got my attention was the Standing in Solidarity with Water Protectors possible event. And is it going to happen? And when?
It is happening.
Yay!
Absolutely, it's happening. We just had to make a date change, but yeah. So it's called Standing in Solidarity with Water Protectors. This is going to be, there's going to be about 4 panelists that we're inviting from across the country to take part in this. One in particular is Tabitha Tripp. She was the only pro se intervener against the Dakota Access here in Illinois. Let's remember that Dakota Access does come here on Illinois soil.
Yep.
And so she really took charge and has done so much, for here in Illinois against that pipeline. So she will come and speak and talk about her story, also about the fight down in Southern against fracking. She's done a lot as one of the leading members of Southern Illinoisans against fracturing.
When and where?
So it is going to be on Thursday, April 13th. 6:30 to 8:30 at the Regis MPR, the Regis Multipurpose Room at Loyola University.
Which is in the library.
In the I'm not sure.
It's in
behind
the
the
student dorm Regis
Student
Hall.
Okay.
How do
Regis.
people get a hold of either or both of you in your organizations?
Yeah, do you have a website or Facebook or come on?
Yeah, we have Facebook pages for all of our events. If you just look up Standing in Solidarity with Water Protectors, you'll find us pretty quickly. We also have another event coming up in addition to the Standing in Solidarity with Water Protectors panel, and we're having an organizing workshop with the Shy Nations Youth Council. So the Shy Nations Youth Council was created in 2012, and it's comprised of diverse group of youth and adults, and a mission to create a supportive, open environment for Native youth, to raise awareness of cultural identity and promote a healthy lifestyle through arts, activism, and education. So they work towards this goal by strengthening community through volunteerism, fundraising, and traditional values. So we're hosting them on 2 days right before that, April 11th.
Wow. You gals.
You're gonna keep us
you
busy
gals
running
rock.
over there.
We are so happy to have had you. I know that you're going to keep activated, so we'll have you again. Let's
do.
be-
And please
let's-
stick around till the end of the show so we can do a group photo. We'd hate to miss you guys being in it.
Yeah.
We've been
absolutely.
listening to Loyola University student activists, Ashley Williams and Jenya Polozova. Thank you so much. Good luck in your conference. And you're listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 FM. Please like us on Facebook or check out our previous shows on livefromtheheartland.com. Now a little music interlude before we bring on our next guests.